COVID.
Oh, okay, right, yeah. All right, now we're going to be talking about the Straff Hendricks Brewery, and we're starting with the triple. I'd like to just show that to the camera.
I'd love to show it. Oh,
And
I need a glass. There's some left over.
Yeah, there is. Actually, the brewery is called Half Moon.
Half Moon, yes, sorry.
And they have two ranges, the Bruxezot and the Straffe Hendrik. Straffe means strong in Flemish, and Hendrik means Henry. So they have in this range a triple and a quadruple. So we're first going to talk about the triple.
so different from the Westmalle.
Yes.
We were talking about this before. I found the Westmalle to be a bit more. You could actually taste the different flavours. This one's a little bit more homogenised.
That's really
Easier to
interesting
drink.
to say that, because
Easier
we
to
had
drink,
a similar discussion. Is that it's there's so many different ways of explaining that difference. For me, the Straff Hendricks is cleaner. It's
Crisper.
more one-dimensional. Yeah, crisper,
more one-dimensional,
and that can be a good thing or a bad thing.
More Pilsner-like.
Yeah.
Well, if you can say that.
I certainly wouldn't call it Pilsner like
No,
that.
but more easy drinking.
More easy drinking, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And so you came to the same conclusion.
Well, yeah, when I tried it, like when we were talking about it, he said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Oh, I must admit the Westmalle is, I think, better in that I can taste, literally you can taste different flavours and it gets more complex. The complexity is in here, but not as quite as much. And it's more homogenised. So when you're talking from a wine perspective, which I am, I'm looking at, can you taste something new every time you go into it? But in this one, all the flavour is there straight away.
Yeah.
And so you can get quite a range of flavours, but there's much more, very obvious flavours in Westmalle.
But what I found really interesting, without jumping too quickly onto the quad, is in beers sometimes from a particular brewery you will have a family resemblance. Is the best way I could describe it. I'm sure it's the same with wine. And
it's a house style.
Yeah, and
yeast
it's probably the yeast is what I would say was making that difference. Is that when you have the Hendricks quad, you've got that same cleanness, which again, it's a good or a bad thing, It comes through, or you could say, oh, it's not complex enough. It's just two ways.
Oh, no.
I wasn't criticising that at all. I'm just saying that what's really interesting is that is there. You can definitely tell. Like if you blind tasted those, you would believe that they were from the same brewery.
As in
the yeast is the yeast and the.
In the triple and the quad? Or
the triple and the quad, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
triple
okay,
and the quad,
right,
you can tell they're from the same brewery.
Yeah. So, as I said, my difference is, and you taste it in different wineries, even in the same region with the same terroir right next door to each other, even the same winemaking components, you will actually taste subtle variations. But I think for this one, the variation for me was a bit more obvious. Westmalle obviously was, you had this flavour as an obvious flavour, then this flavour, then this flavour. This one was a bit more homogenous, so it's a bit more together, so all the flavours were sitting together.
And there were people out there who preferred the complexity of the Westmalle, and there were people out there who preferred the cleanness, if that's what it is, of the Straff Hendricks.
And you do get the same thing happen in wine too. If you get someone with a vintage variation particularly, if you have a single vineyard site wine, you are going to taste a vintage variation, and it's going to be very determined by the year. Whereas you buy St. Helens, it's going to be a homogenous. So you're going to be the same sort of thing all the time.
But you were telling us about the Half Moon Brewery, Buck.
Yeah.
What's interesting about that?
Well, they were certainly in Belgium one of the first to move their their bottling plant to the industrial area outside of the town of Bruges, and then used crowdfunding to dig a tunnel, a pipeline actually, from the brewery to the bottling plant 5 kilometers away, and that freed up all this bottling space to have restaurants and accommodation for tourists, and it's quite. It was very, very popular because people, apart from their normal interest, would get a lifetime supply of Straffe Hendrik. There you go.
I wonder what they qualifies as a lifetime supply? And is it like your superannuation where you can draw on it early, or like you say, I might have a big year.
I was going to say
I'm getting married. I need 3 years in 1 year.
Actually, I always find it's funny when they say a lifetime supply of anything. It's like, you give it to me free. My life might get a lot shorter.
Exactly, yeah. Well, it's in their interest.
Yeah,
We all have to
exactly,
become shorter then, isn't it? Yeah. Unless it was like, I don't know, capsicum. Or
Yes,
something,
yeah.
I suppose.
Yes,
Something that's good for
oh, good. I've gone to peri for absolutely everything. All right, well, we're going to go on to the quadruple next, so we'll see you in just a minute.